competition shooting. It's a great way to get your training in, your marksmanship, your shooting and moving. It's a great way to get it in, for sure. But something that I have noticed is people seem to be, they go to one extreme or the other. They have the firearms and they don't practice these things, or they, dabble in firearms, they shoot a few matches and then they're hooked. And then the next thing you know, most of their firearm inventory has become competition based. And, everything that they do becomes competition based. Like all their, going back to the firearms, their builds, their rigs, the belt kits they're wearing, or chest rig, whatever, it all starts, becoming this high speed, not carrying a lot, low weight, and 3 mags, not carrying a full loadout, which I consider 7 to 8 mags on body, one and gun. And we're getting so devoted to this high speed to shoot good par times, and we're shooting like closer range stuff at a really fast, rapid pace. And I see this and I'm like, man, you want to be like in the Minuteman sphere on your social media or the YouTube thing, and I feel like you've dove so far in and off this cliff, you're not really grasping that you have done it. You're kind of losing touch with that because, being a Minuteman, we won't use the other M word because it's demonized, but being, a citizen soldier, so to speak, it's not going to be all high speed CQB stuff. That's not what this is going to be. This broadcast is fueled by attention deficit disorder. You're listening to the Hidesite podcast, your lo-fi way to hear everything Minuteman, philosophies, gear, guns, the things you love, the things you eat, sleep, and breathe, tactics, and just plain fun. We're going to have some fun things on here, some maybe fictional stories, different things like that, and we'll definitely be having guests on in the near future. So buckle up, listen to me yarn for a little while, and go ahead and drop in the comment section your opinion of the matter. Welcome to the Hidesite podcast. I'm your host, XXL Dude. This is a companion channel, podcast to my main YouTube channel, and it's titled XXL Dude. We do a lot of guns, gear, milsurp, different philosophies as far as for the Minuteman, dipping our toes into guerrilla warfare, and just kind of interesting things. And so this is a mode and outlet for me, on the topics that I kind of want to expand on, that maybe I've done videos on before, maybe I'm planning on videos, and I just, with YouTube and the way it is now, you don't want it to just have a video that's like an hour long. For one, like the editing of a video that's like longer than 20 minutes just takes forever. I mean, you might as well figure like a 10-minute video like that you watch on YouTube probably takes somebody, that non-pro, probably 2 or 3 hours to edit out. And so times that by, 6 more for doing an hour long video. Anyways, don't want to get in the weeds on this stuff. Let me know, however you're listening to this, let me know, drop it in the comments or whatnot. If you want to hear me talk about my experience with YouTube on this, be pretty fun. I enjoy it. It's not, I don't make any money on it. I don't even break even. It's just a hobby at this point. And I like, in my locale and whatnot, I feel like, side note, I feel like this is a way we can kind of hang out, like in my locale, I don't have a lot of time to go and hang out with my buddies, not like it used to be. And, talk guns, talk things going on. It's usually something maybe once a week. And, everybody's got to have a turn to talk. Like it can't just drawn on and on and on and on. And I feel like us as humans don't get that interaction anymore. Like we're so busy. We did a podcast talking about social media and the issues with it. And we seem to just be such busy people these days, and the arms on the clock just seem to be flying, 100 miles an hour. And so I kind of like this. I don't know how, like, I'm going to try to stick with it. It doesn't take a lot for me. Like all I have to do is have my topic, and, we are fueled by ADD, and, have my topic and just kind of spin along a yarn. None of this stuff. Don't take it as the gospel or anything else. Please add your own input. But man, the keyboard warriors, they haven't been that bad lately over on the YouTube channel, which I don't know. I'll reserve some stuff right now on YouTube, and we'll get back on topic here. But yeah, either way, grab a seat. Let's sit down. Let's chat. Let's talk about some goings on in the guns, gun tubing, and tactical community. Now, not all of these podcast episodes are going to be about this type of stuff. I try to keep it interesting. It's kind of just stuff that culminates in my brain that I feel like, hey, I want to spend 30, 45 minutes yapping about it. And if we go over, hey, we go over. So on today's topic, and it might be a little bit of a spicy one here for you guys. I'm not 100% sure, but enter a few weeks ago, Mr. Focus Trip started doing his attacks on Garantha. Now we're not going to talk about all that. That's coming. We're going to have to talk about that because it's, one of the bigger gun tubers, especially now that Demolition Matt is done. But a few weeks ago, Focus Trip did his live stream where he had old Trench Grenade, Ben Stager, Brass Facts, and Hop. They were together filming content, and Matt Pranka. I actually was watching that. Like I watched that. I didn't watch it in real time. I watched it after it came out, like the next day, something like that. And man, like that. It's been a period for the YouTube GunTube thing, and I think most of you out there, a lot of you that will find it, will know about what happened. If not, if you're just uninterested, I mean this podcast episode is still going to be appealing and whatnot if you're interested in guns. So just kind of hang with me, hang with me on it. So Pranka got up there, and you could just tell, I don't like him and Hop. I don't know his real name. That's probably on purpose. I understand completely why. But Matt Pranka and Hop, you could just tell like the quips back and forth that there was just some issues. And Pranka had he probably still does. And that's Alpha X-ray solutions, shooting solutions, whatever. I'm not going to sit here and hit some, like, this is not a formal thing. And so he's big. Matt Pranka is big on Instagram. He's got a pretty good following. He does the competition shooting. He does tactical shooting and all, yada, yada. And I'm sure most of you know who Brass Facts and Hop are. They kind of spun off from a lot of what Nut and Fancy used to do, and kind of got big doing that, kind of, just doing philosophy essays, talking about gun builds and whatnot. That they can kind of be a little history-ish. They kind of hit us with their, college level dissertations about stuff. And I understand where some people, that's not the taste for some people. They don't like to have these children telling them about big adult guns. Like that's kind of the way it was put to me by some people. I'm neither here nor there. Like, good information is good information no matter who it comes from. Do those people always put out good information? No. I mean, I'm probably not always going to put out good information. I don't even know. I can only tell you my information because it's input based by me. It's what I learned from it. That's usually what I'm going to communicate. So with this whole ordeal, there was animosity there between Pronka and Brass Facts and Hop. And it was mainly he had issues with people that reviewed. I don't even think he necessarily said guns. I mean, guns were involved, but gear. Like he was talking about, these people that review gear because they only and there is validity here to it. But reviews, the people online on YouTube that just review gear and they get in that momentum of one or two videos a week that they're pushing out, like reviewing this pack and this chest rig, and he's like, calls them out about their pedigree because I'm thinking he was Delta Force. Like I like, it's nothing to me exactly. Like if you served, if you did the things and you went overseas, like salute to you for doing that. That doesn't make you the authoritative figure on shooting, tactical gear, guns, etc. Does not make you the authority on it. And so he just kind of had a bone to pick with YouTubers in general, and I think they just happened to be the target that was there that, got the course of fire. And so there was a lot back and forth in that. Like if you want to go and look at it, it's on Focus Trip. He used to put out some pretty solid YouTube videos. I'm not down on him or anything. Like he still probably will put out solid videos, but there's been a shift. There's been a shift in a lot of people's content. I mean, I guess it's growing, but I digress. So that back and forth thing, and he was just pretty much saying like, unless you for a job and you put down, he did talk about guns and shooting like hundreds of thousands of rounds a year, which is like, that's a lot of freaking money. I don't know, unless that's literally the government and people are paying you to do that, like big bucks and supplying you this stuff. You're not going to be able to do that unless you're just mega rich and mega bored and have a mega amount of time. And he's basically just cut it off at the head. I'm pretty sure everybody on that live stream besides Focus Trip was inebriated. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure they'd all had a few. Definitely Hop, definitely Pronka. He was definitely drunk. He probably said a lot of things that just the filter was not there. And I can see the bone being picked with YouTubers that just want to get, just want review because it's a hot piece of gear that everybody's talking about on the social webs, on Reddit and Instagram and everything else. And it's, your favorite YouTubers are talking about it. So they get it. They're like, yeah, this is great. It's comfortable. And here's the pros, here's the cons, but it's a buy. Go and buy it. Here's my affiliate link, and then it's on to the next one. Like that's the last time you see that piece of gear. And I get that. Like if they're not like fully putting in the miles on it and giving it its due diligence, like maybe, I mean, and there's a dynamic here. Don't get me wrong. There's a complete dynamic. And I don't know, like you could sit here and down a piece of gear because it just does not fit your area of operation. It does not fit what you're trying to do with it. Like, okay, like let's say you're a high speed backpacker and less of a tactical person. Like a Molly 2 ruck, this ginormous freaking ruck, is probably not going to be for you. But if you're, a grunt trying to carry everything you can with you, because you're carrying it to a forward operating position, or whatever, like you're not going to be fighting in this ruck. It's just to get gear to set up some type of OP, some type of forward operating base, something of that, patrol base, something of that nature. Like you're carrying it to a checkpoint to set up. It's going to be perfect for you. You see what I mean? And that is where like I can see the validity of what Pronka was trying to say there, that like a lot of these people just do the YouTube and they pose, that like that was what was implied, that they're posing, that they did these things, that they know what they're doing. And, he clearly didn't know them, didn't know what they do, because I mean, clearly with their content, they put a lot of rounds down range. They actually go out into the field and test this stuff, and they camp out in the open. So they're already doing, more than 90% of the people in the gun, like probably 99% of the people in the gun to gun sphere, like when's the last time, aside from filming op or whatever, did you see Garantham going out and doing shit and, going on rucks, like just to do it, just to do shakedown stuff? When's the last time you seen him do that? And that's a legit military dude. He doesn't let us forget that he's Air Force TAC P, Air Force Special Warfare, whatever. There's also like something I'm happy about too is Hollywood actually gave those airmen, Special Warfare airmen, their little piece, and it's a pretty good movie called Land of Bad. It has Russell Crowe in it. He kind of plays a minor role, drone operator. It's a great movie. Like there's bits of it that's straight up Hollywood, and we're getting out there on this one. We got to reel it back in. Either way, it's a good movie. Definitely check it out. Like if you're looking for just a good, action war movie thing, check out Land of Bad. It's on Netflix, I'm pretty sure. I think that's where I watched it. I was wanting to watch it in the theaters and didn't come out here in my location. So back to what we're talking about topic wise with that. So Pronka is a competition shooter. He was big on Ben Steger. I think Ben had microphone issues in there because he didn't really talk much. And then he kind of dropped in and out. And lo and behold, I think Pronka went away. I don't know. At some point, Lucas Botkin with T-Rex Arms jumped on there too. And he's talking about the training and how he trains, law enforcement, special forces guys and everything. And Pronka was talking about the Delta Force stuff and everything and how they had competition shooters come in and train them. And that's how he learned. They had Ben Steger come in, train them, and just different things like that of marksmanship and, everything to do with the competition world. And like, I can see that. I can see the mix and match of it. Like there are, hand in hand, complements to combat training and competition shooting. Now this is kind of like, I am by no means an expert. I'm not even going to claim to be an expert. Like I'm just a weekend go and shoot, couple hundred rounds type guy. Like I look at things, learn things. But one of the things that Hop and Brass said, they were like, well, they did a lot of like, I want to say Hop said he did one of Pat McNamara's classes, and Pronka laughed, and they're like, everybody thinks McNamara is a joke because he's on YouTube and does all this stuff. Well, back during that time when people like that did it was really before Jocko was big. Like they would like down a lot of these veteran guys that come out and wanted to share knowledge and kind of do their job outside of what their job was after they retired. And I think they knocked McNamara because McNamara is not exactly, I mean, he does shoot comps. I don't know, his life story. I don't know him personally, but his stuff is a little bit more tactical based. And I looked, cause I'm like, who is this X-Ray Alpha guy? And I looked at his stuff, and he's he's kind of dead firm in the middle. Matt Pronka is like, competition and tactical shooting, kind of both, and does training. And I'm sure the dude probably knows, he walks the walk. I'm sure of it. Pretty sure. If you have a lot of time to train and do that, you're going to get very good if you put in effort. So going back to talking about like pedigree, if that's your job, like if tactical training and everything else is your job. And that's a conversation I had with a few of my buddies. And these people that are paid to be there that go to these classes, a lot of times, like, believe it or not, there's people that join the military that get in the infantry and everything, and they could care less about guns. They don't care. They only know the name of it because it's been drilled into their head. They wish they didn't. They don't care that they get to carry a fully automatic M4 or a SAW or a M240 Bravo. They don't care. Gun goes bang. That's all they care about. They hate them because they had to clean them so many times. So keep that in mind about a lot of people that are paid to train, shoot, do combat shooting. Most of those people, like, it's just a job. So, okay, let's go and take your profession right now, what you do for work. Let's talk about it. When you have training, how serious do you take the training? Like, if it's just a little bit of an expansion on training you've already had, let's say you've been working this job that you're on for 4 or 5 years. Like, how serious do you take the training? Most people, what would you say, 75% of these people, they're not going to take it serious. And then people will say another 20% are going to take it moderately serious. And then maybe the final 5% of them in there are going to take it like somewhat serious, but nobody is taking more training ultimately serious. They're just, it's a break away from whatever it is they do from the day-to-day routine, and they get to be there. But are they going to take this like super freaking serious and walk away from it? No, they're not. They're just not. So that's one of the things, like, these people that have insane round counts and rounds down range and everything, because the more you do something, especially shooting, and you have a paid coach there, you're going to get better, period. Whether you want to or not, you're going to have to get better, like, if you want to keep the paychecks coming in. So Bodkin gets on there and he kind of just throws down his little spiel about, how he trains. He's trained with Pranka and he's trying to kind of speak for him and whatnot. I don't think Pranka was on there at this point. He was away, or he got done, hung up. Something was up, but I don't know. He was kind of trying to take the middle road too, Botkin was, and kind of saying he could see both sides and this and that. But clearly, I don't think there's much, like, if you follow these people, like, there used to be a pretty good alliance, I guess you could say, between Bodkin and Mike Jones, Grantham, and all of them, and several other YouTubers. And I don't know, Bodkin, we're going to talk about him shortly. But he's kind of hot and cold on stuff. He'll kind of make these public statements that it's like, boy, are you just trying to do this to generate anger? And I've seen him kind of flip-flop on things before too, like post something and then kind of flip-flop about it. But eventually I want to say he left it that people should, train and shoot comps to get better, competition and everything else. And I hate it too, because it was the one dude that probably mattered to talk about comps more than Pranka was Ben Steger, and he didn't really get to talk much on it, and because of the malfunctions he was having. And that really sucks, because that would have been like great. And you could tell just by his face, he was stoked that all these different people that he's probably seen on YouTube were there, and the things being said. And so you had all this shift from that point on. This is the point I'm arriving at about that whole conversation. And you always had Charlie with Grantham, who was you could tell he was very competition based, like that was his jam. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you've seen this shift after that happen to more competition. Like, Bodkin stuff has been on a trend toward that, but even Focus Trip, he posted a few weeks ago, where he was doing competitions and he was kind of putting stuff up there bragging, and it's like basic, and like the way competitions work. Now, again, this is a guy that I've not shot a match. Do I plan on shooting matches at some point? Yes. Right now I kind of take that time to hone my skill and my movements and shooting and moving, communicating and doing those types of things. Like, have I shot mock-up style matches that me and friends have put up? Yeah, I have. Like, no official timing or anything like that, but official matches, yeah, someday. Like maybe if things slow down for me at some point, yes, that I would be. That'd be great. It'd be fun to do. It's fun to do those things. They are fun. Even though Mr. Anti Guns and Funds, Lucas Plotkin, you know, leave that there. But even though he says this stuff, like, yeah, I think it's good. It's a good measuring tool. But we got these YouTubers that are trending in the competition direction, and a lot of them that have already been here and starting to kind of trend that way. And we'll be just quite frank, like people don't like to talk about training so much. Like that's just not most of the training YouTube videos just don't do that well. Now, if it's people running the comps and doing this stuff and just good wholehearted fun, they get views. That means, and when they get views, that means that people are clicking on it to watch it and actually watching it for some amount of time for the algorithm to pick it up and show it to other people who might also like that. But just the straight up training stuff, people just don't really watch. It doesn't, it's not sexy. It doesn't get a lot of views. And then with this sphere, and here we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of it. What I see, let me lay this on you. 'Cause I'm dancing a delicate dance here because I'm sure some of you that listen to this shoot matches, and I'm sure you also have a nice chest rig and a ruck and everything else. And so the other night on Instagram, Botkin posted a thing with where he's been on this long range SPR kick. And he's got a range that's like maybe 200 meters, 300 meters, maybe. I mean, don't get me wrong, making shots at that distance, consistently and in a pattern is good. Like it requires skill, but long range to me is like for me to consider something long range is beyond 1,000. And he does shoot that. Don't take this. I'm not trying to be pessimistic here, but he posted a video on there on Instagram, and I think it's coming up, but he's like, try this drill or do this or something, this drill where he's standing there with his, precision bolt gun, chassis system gun, and he's doing a speed run of how fast he can, set up his tripod, whip his tripod out, set it up, get the gun mounted to it. I think his chamber round, whatever, get it set up, take a shot. Precision gun, long range. Think about that. How fast he could set up a tripod and put, probably a 22, 24 inch barrel, 6.5 Creedmoor bolt gun, bolt action, like a hunting rifle gun, and take a shot. Now, your imagination, you could probably come up with a scenario where you would need to drill and do a match setting up a quote unquote sniper rifle, marksman rifle, like getting set up that fast to take a shot. I can't. I mean, yeah, there's some fantasy scenarios, but in my little Minuteman, other M word brain, our DMR guys, our snipers, they're generally going to be somewhere before wherever they're at. They're going to be there for a period of time, probably before the larger forces moving through. There's usually nothing that requires immense speed from that roll, hence the bolt gun. Also, a bolt gun is just more accurate than a semi-auto. We're not going to go into that right now, but generally, the person that's going to be putting precise rounds downrange is going to be in their position before the proverbial shit hits the fan. Catch my drift. I don't see any reason to go through and run a drill like this at all. And then I won't break off into this that much. I guess I can, but somebody commented and they said, at what point is it too much tech or is there no such thing? And I commented, the thing is, all those electronics emit at least some type of signature, because he had a ballistic computer, a rangefinder, all of this stuff, was mounted to his rifle or on body. But it was a very set up techie rifle. But anyway, sorry, let me start that back. The thing is, all of those electronics emit at least some type of signature at some level. If someone were wanting to be legit in this type of craft, they'd learn it the old way and not be dependent on tech. And then Bodkin replied back to me, or know the old ways and use new tech to be faster. That, notice there, faster. To be faster. Again, we're talking about marksmanship and sniper roles. Precision is not typically going to be fast. We make mistakes when we rush things. But he said that's what GPSs are after all. Like, they're doing things in navigation for you. And I said go back. I'm going to find the rest of this here. And I say this. Sorry. So I reply back to that and I say, the problem is, and you'd be surprised, many people who use a GPS can't read a map. The tech is making us more vulnerable. And I'm not saying it's bad, but this tech can also become a crutch, to society. Like something I feel like AI is doing. Like we're getting to where we rely too much on this technology. And if, say, an enemy was to take it out, you don't know the old ways, boy, you're in for some trouble. Now, but I say this because people are lazy and don't want to learn the old ways because it requires effort. And this is the bingo here. Like, going back to what the topic of this podcast is, this episode. He said, just because people don't know the old ways doesn't mean innovation shouldn't be happening for those of us who know and want to go faster. Now, and I agree. Like, we do need the innovation, but it seems like, well, I even addressed this here. I said, and I agree with that. I'm all for advancing, but we need to also communicate why the old ways are still important, meaning he has a very large following and he's always promoting this latest and greatest tech. And competition. But he also turns around and virtues that he wants to arm, the right people, Christians. He's open about that. And he virtue signals a lot of this stuff. And I like stuff, mind you, I don't disagree with at all. Like, this ain't that, bro. And, but what he promotes, and like, there's been a shift in a lot of his gear, but his stuff, like, come on, he's not making it for government entities, okay? Right? He's making it for people like me, like Minuteman. But at the same time, I don't see him using his stuff as much anymore. Like, yeah, maybe his holster, maybe his belt, but I don't see him running full kit as much as he used to. Quite frankly, he doesn't make videos as much as he used to. But I agree with that, and I'm all for advancing, but we need to also communicate why the old ways are still important. Like I said, like how night vision devices can pick up laser rangefinders, so it might be beneficial to use a range card or other methods to calculate. It seems as though a lot of these advancements have an Achilles heel. And what I mean by that is electronics. And this is the tie-in to the topic. All of these electronics, he said it right there. Speed, it generates speed, faster par times. I need to be faster. So if I miss a shot, I'm already fast, so I can take the time penalty on speed in the match. So where does this land? I mean, I went and seen, like, recently, this is just a few days after the movie Warfare came out. And a lot of people are saying, like, it's one of the best modern movies and portrayal of the way gunfights and things went down in Ramadi, Iraq during that time, in an urban warfare setting, mind you. And I didn't see, whenever I watched this movie, and it's a great movie. We're talking about movies here in this podcast, second one drop, but this is a movie that everyone should go and see. Everybody, I think everybody should go and see that movie. It's not politically charged. It's cut and dry. No real true character development. Like, literally just talking about this off, things that go wrong with it. Like, not talking about it, like you're just witnessing it and seeing it. And phenomenal movie. But I could tell you, watching that movie, what I noticed and what I didn't see, and I didn't see dudes worrying about how fast they could reload their rifle. I didn't see dudes worrying about how fast they could get a mag out of their rifle, or out of their pouch and into their rifle. I did see belt feds were pretty much the king of that skirmish to lay down suppressive fire, because you had, enemy combatants firing at you from all different directions, and even on top of you in the building on top, like in your building on top, lobbing grenades at you. This high speed, getting through the course as fast as possible thing, I feel like if you go to hit, like, if it's your jam, okay, that's fine. I don't think you can chase two rabbits here. Like, the saying, if you chase two rabbits, you'll catch none, and there's the dichotomy here between combat training and competition training. Some of it overlaps. I would try to stay in that overlapping, like, think of a Venn diagram, Kamala Harris's favorite. Think of a Venn diagram and how the circles that overlap. So the similarities of both types of training. Try to stay within that overlapping area. Like, yeah, you can venture over to the one some more than the other. That's fine. But if you're just sitting in one circle, one side of the Venn diagram, you might be missing some of the other key elements on the other side. And it's like, basically, I guess it just boils down to, like, man, you got to make a choice here. Like, grandmasters are great, phenomenal shooters and can get rounds downrange in a speedy time, but there's so much more that goes with, just carrying a gun and being out in the woods and doing a patrol. Like, there's a lot more to it than just being fast at reloading a mag. And that's one of the big things I kind of want to drive home here with people. Like, don't try to apply, tactical shooting with, combat style, Minuteman, force movement style training. It works best, like, learning the old ways, like how to range things without electronics, because electronics emit a signature, like some signal at some point to even what is an EMF, electromagnification, more advanced or the more access we had to advanced items, you know, a governing force, or a force that wants to do bad is going to have access to better and ways to detect these things. I mean, there's already talks about how, you know, they can detect the glass in a red dot, you know, something small, like a small red dot. And I think about these things, and I see people, and that's the thing with the mission creep, is we get so caught up on these other tasks and other things and other training things, training items, that we forget the whole reason we're here. And I might be wrong, but I feel like Botkin's going down that road. And if he wants to be a comp shooter and do all that, cool on you, buddy. But you know, just, and I like Botkin. I do. It's okay to hold people accountable. You don't have to attack them. You don't have to assassinate their character or anything. It's okay to hold them accountable. If you're going to push your stuff out for Minuteman, like, the way I see it is, if you're the dude calling the shots on like the gear that comes out that you're producing, and you're basing it, your brain is high speed, like getting the fastest reload, getting the fastest par time. Like, no, like I'm looking at kit, like I honestly, like, as long as I can get the mags out reasonably, like if I'm out and I have to react to contact and put rounds down range, like I'm going to be going to the closest cover. You know, like you're going to be shooting and moving to get to cover. If it's like, you know, a near ambush, something like that, that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be either A, going to cover, or B, you're going to be breaking contact, i.e. putting down as much suppressive fire in the direction that you think that the enemy is coming from. And then your buddy's fucking booking it so far, and then turning around and doing the same while you fucking book it. Like, that's where we're at. Wait, at that point, yeah, I guess a mag change time frame probably matters, but you have somebody there covering your back at the same time. You know, they're putting rounds down range to cover you while you reload, which also was shown in the movie Warfare, especially like when the belt fed went down. The dude with his M4 was sitting there covering his buddy with the belt fed while he reloaded. So he didn't take one to the dome while he was reloading, but he also ducked behind cover. And I feel like a lot of these top training things don't really use the emphasis on cover. They use it as far as peeking, you know, with your weapon and whatnot, but it's a training scar to me. Thinking about it, I feel like it's a pretty hefty training scar that, in my mind, if I'm running rounds, like I'm running rounds to get to a safe point, whether it's to end the threat or get to cover, then I'm going to top off, run some more, you know, whatever I got to do. Like the movie Heat. We're just going to throw out movies today, bro. Val Kilmer, you know, they use that for the Marines, and I want to say for the Army and everything, like in the big shootout, and he ducks behind a car and reloads. He's using cover. And with this high speed stuff, we're not. And it's like, I feel like that's going to mess you up. Like trying to run things, like when a situation's going down, like think of the most stressful, just immediately stressful situation you've ever been in, and trying to calculate on doing something fast. And you're just going to go to your training, like, in all honesty, it's going to be just enough to get your weapon up and putting rounds down range accurately, period. Like, the only stress I can see of competition is being under that time constraint. And I'm not saying, like, I'm not looking at it lightly, but people watching you and time constraint. It's not the same stress as like life or death. Like people are dropping around you. I've got to fucking do something or it's going to be me too, you know? And it's, you know, you can't really, it's very hard to train. Like, I guess the closest thing is like to do a lot of exercise and be out of breath. But then again, that's still not the same. And, you know, that's what you're going to default to is, you know, whatever base level of training that you have that you've ran in and ran through and habitualized. And like, don't take it like in your dry fire practice and whatnot. You know, yeah, you should be familiarizing like with the dry fire. It's like the manual of arms, like familiarizing yourself with getting the safety on and off, getting the mag in properly, just those type of things, getting the rifle up to a ready position and sight alignment. Yes, all of that, like all the way to prepare to take the shot and the follow through. And of course, you know, you can even like mock up some malfunctions and whatnot, and even out training, like getting used to that. But I would also incorporate, you know, barriers and things like that for you to like get behind, see what the easiest way to like take a knee and then do your reload. Try to be speedy about it, but you don't want to fumble fuck around, drop your mag, you know, or whatever. It's just, I like a lot of this time-based stuff. Like, and I've got a packed shot timer. I don't use it a whole lot, but I may do some things, you know. I might start doing little things here and there, more of timing myself and whatnot on it, just to have a baseline, you know. Like, something that I feel like speed is important on is like, say, your draw, especially if you EDC. And so drawing your handgun, you know, from a concealed position, stuff like that, yes, important, very. But if you pull it out and run some rounds downrange and into threat, how fast you tack reload is probably not going to matter if there's only one threat. You know, otherwise, like, you're going to run your rounds and in whatever threat while you're moving to some sort of cover to not get hit. Right? I mean, every situation I can think of, it's going to be like that. You're either moving to cover or, you know, GTFO. Like one of the two. Don't train to just stand there and be a target. Like, moving targets are harder to hit, y'all. So don't forget that. Don't forget to do that. But no, there's competitions are good. Don't get me wrong. And, you know, there's quite a bit out there that are hybrid tactical style. Like, don't even get me started on CQB. You need to see the CQB and the movie Warfare. That's what you need to do and understand. Like, me personally, yeah, I'll do the CQB if you give me a belt fed, because that's going to be king. Give me something with at least 100 rounds linked ammo and a nice solid, you know, 400, 500 rounds per minute. Freaking steady flow. Give me that. We'll rock. We'll rock then. That's what you're going to need in CQB, especially something with some rounds that'll punch through some walls. That's what I want. I want an MP5 or anything like that. Like, give me something that's got a substantial round count and rifle rounds that's got some punch. But yeah, like that's pretty much the state right now of a lot of stuff that I see trending. Like I said, you got Focus Trip doing a lot of training for a competition, and good on the dude for stepping out. Like, you know, there's things there that he's kind of being a braggart about the stuff that he did, but it's like, especially like these earlier on competitions and whatever class you're shooting in and whatnot, like, you're going to be shooting against all walks of people. I wouldn't exactly brag if you did good in a match or something like, I mean, it's okay to say like, yeah, you placed top. I get that. But to be a braggart big time about it, like, you never know like who's there shooting. That it might be like they just bought a gun a few weeks ago or a year ago, and they, you know, and they're going up against somebody that shoots, you know, maybe every day for the past 5 or 6 years. Come on, man. Like, you know, if you're, I'll leave it at that. I'm not that guy. I won't even like get you to think that I'm that guy. But it can be healthy. But it's like these people get bitten by the bug and then they veer away from what the mission is. And then they try to come back on here and talk about such and such, Minuteman this and being ready and preparedness and everything else. They try to talk about that still when they're just so heavily focused on this thing. Just like I said with Botkin and the PRS rifle, the long range precision shooting type deal. Like it's just, it's not a video game, man. Like, I don't see you rushing a shot like that. Like, you're going to sit here and do your calculations and everything and make sure you can get that shot down range exactly where you want it to go. Like, minimal deviance of where that round's going to go. So yeah, that's where I'm at on this. We talked about a lot here. Definitely check out the movies that I mentioned. Land of Bad, Warfare just came out. Definitely worth seeing. It's got high ratings from the audience and Rotten Tomatoes. I don't always trust the Rotten Tomatoes thing, but it's a very hard movie to kind of pick apart politically. Really is. Like, if you go and see it, like, there's a lot of naysayers about glorification of killing Iraqi guerrillas and everything, and that's not what this is. I'm not even 100% sure I've seen one die on there, but you need to go and see it. It's a great movie. Great movie to go see. It's different. And definitely don't let this opinion here. I'm not telling you to not go and consume YouTubers and not this and that, or Instagram people, or not to go competition shoot or anything. Just understand there's a dichotomy there, and there's a balance to it, that you can go so far one way and you can jump on that mission creep bandwagon and kind of lose focus of the original goal, which is to be prepared and be able to accurately shoot and master your rifle. And like, it's not always going to be a thing where competitions are going to help you master your rifle. Like, I like to kind of be a jack of all trades whenever it comes to a rifle and handgun. And I don't try to like I master the gun itself. Like, I know my rifle and what it's going to do, and how far I'm accurate to. And like, getting it up to that point, of max effective range, and then being able to maneuver it in close range. That's where you want to be. And competitions can help you do that. But problems I have are a lot of times with the time constraints on it. Like, timing things it's there to get your stress up, and you should be able to do it X amount of time. And I get it. And there should be baselines to things completely. But you'd be surprised on like moving slower and taking in more information, especially with a long gun, that might could net you, a better survival rate versus then hurrying through something and maybe missing somebody off in the distance, with their glass on you. Those are things to think about. So, I don't really have any other housekeeping things. Let me know. Drop in the comments what you think. Whatever platform you're on, I'd appreciate if you're on the podcasting platforms to give me a good rating. Recommend me to a buddy. Trash talk me. Whatever you want to do. I'm also on Instagram, XXL Dude, along with my YouTube channel. We try to do a lot of stuff similar to this here, and gear reviews and scope reviews, the things Matt Pronka loves and whatnot. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Peace.